I have always loved living by the "if it ain't broke" motto, and when it comes to exercising, there are some movement patterns that had accompanied humans for hundreds, even thousands of years in our quest to become stronger, faster, more flexible, better coordinated, and an overall healthier, more powerful body. And today we're going to check out some of these exercises, so if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Now this first one is probably one of the oldest moves and directly correlated with longevity and a better quality of life, because before we got to the point where we had chairs and tables and everything, we used to do everything on the floor. And one ability that many, almost all humans have lost is being able to get off from the floor without the assistance of their hands. Now, you don't want to be one of those statistics. You want to actually start working on this as early as possible. Now, it doesn't really matter how you get up from the floor. You can roll sideways and then get into a seated position. You can use some explosiveness to get up, but you need to start working on this as early as possible. And over time, you will develop the necessary anterior chain strength, the necessary posterior chain flexibility to be able to get up from the floor in whatever way you see fit. That might be up into a pistol squat, that might be with both legs up into a lunging position, or even just getting into a Turkish seat and standing up from here. And ignoring all the quality of life and all the longevity bonuses, it is really fun to work on that. And it will reveal some weaknesses in your body that you might not have even known existed. Almost impossible to talk about old, powerful and effective exercises without addressing the horse stance, one of probably the oldest exercises we've been doing regularly as humans for good reason. We are building massive amounts of lower body strength and coordination because holding this position for longer periods of time require immense engagement of your mind-muscle connection, which in turn is going to help you train your nervous system next to your musculature. We are working a lot on our hip mobility, especially once we start advancing in this exercise and have more space to open up wider, following our toes with our knees and pushing our hips downwards, extending our upper body fully. And now we have to flex our glutes to pull our legs outwards, adding to this adductor stretch and helping us work on one of the problem zones that most people really struggle with, hip mobility, while building massive amounts of strength and muscular endurance. You can start in a shoulder width position, turn your feet slightly outwards and get into this upright squatting position. And over time, the more mobile you become in your hips through holding this position and the stronger you become in the surrounding musculature, you can start expanding more and more, opening up more and more, and staying as upright in your upper body as possible. Holding this for just a handful of minutes will have you shaking like so, which means that your nervous system is actually starting to benefit from this exercise. Working on holding the horse stance for longer periods might be one of the most torturous things you've done, but also probably one of the most effective exercises you can add to your repertoire, especially when it comes to static exercises. And if you're not a big fan of just static exercises, in between you can start adding some mobility exercises that require just as much coordination, strength, and will help you build even more strength and even more control over your entire body. Now, as humans, we've always used our ability to mimic other animals when it comes to building strength and building coordination, which is why we have always, in almost all of the cultures, followed some kind of animal movement styles. When it comes to yoga or martial arts, you will see some of the oldest movement patterns being approximated to animal movements. And if you've been on this channel more than once, you've probably seen my affection for animal movement patterns, especially the ape-like ones that build massive amounts of strength and coordination while helping you work on your flexibility and overall joint health and quality of life. So the ones that are the most fun and you should definitely start working on are short, lateral ape-like movement patterns, working on hip, knee and ankle mobility, adding a little bit of upper body strength as well and some explosiveness. And of course, you can move as slow or as fast as you like. Adding very long lateral movements that open up our hips even more, help us work on some adductor stretching in conjunction with all of the hip, knee and ankle mobility benefits we've had from the shorter movement patterns. And those long ranges of motion help us build massive amounts of strength and coordination. Once again, you can start working fast or slow, switching directions, so we get as many benefits when it comes to coordination as possible. We have forward facing ape-like movement patterns, fully upright in our upper body, actively pushing our hips down, requiring massive amounts of strength from our hip flexors and helping us build a lot of leg strength, once again in combination with coordination. And this one helps us build a lot of strength in our lumbar spinal musculature, specifically our spinal erectors, which once again are one of the problem zones when it comes to people's workouts and fitness in general. And the same thing goes for extending those ape-like movement patterns by elevating our hips to shoulder height or slightly above, so we can add some posterior chain flexibility and start working a lot more with strength dominance on our upper body by shifting our weight forward and upwards. Combining these four includes pretty much every single muscle fiber in your body, every single joint in your body, working on strength, coordination, flexibility, and full body control and tension, which will definitely help you with any other fitness goals you might have as well. One of the best exercises I have ever done for my quality of life and longevity, and I talk about a lot, nay, I preach about a lot, is hanging from a bar. If I talked about it anymore, they would put me on suicide watch. Going into this decompression for our entire body, moving through every single vertebrae and every single joint, loosening up and helping us create some space to get rid of pain, to get rid of tension, and to work on our overall mobility. Not only feels absolutely amazing, but has so many benefits, from building forearm and grip strength to having all of this relaxation in our joints, to helping us with calisthenics goals, for instance with the pull-up, if you have those, and going so far as to go for one-sided hangs to maximize this decompression, to maximize those stretches and all of those benefits we can get from just holding onto a bar and relaxing into this position is absolutely amazing. If you don't do any of the other exercises, please do this one, and just over the course of a week, see how many benefits you can get from it if you can do this just once a day, 2 or 3 times. That's all you need. Now, this one is by far one of the easiest exercises to replicate, but also one of the most important. Your strength, as well as your control over your spine, is what will make or break your body the older you become. And utilizing, once again, an animal movement pattern switch, the classic cat-cow, moving your spine into extension and then into flexion, start building that massive amount of core strength as well as spinal musculature strength to move your spine into the right positions with ever increasing ranges of motion, will have an absurdly amazing impact on your quality of life and your overall health in general. Going through extension into flexion in a dynamic way, and also holding some of those positions for longer periods to start activating those muscles in the correct way and teaching them to hold specific positions for longer and longer is an absolute must. And while this is just a beginner exercise for more advanced spinal mobility and spinal routines, there is a reason why this is a foundational exercise that pretty much everyone should be doing. So before you start working on your bridge goals, I would highly advise you utilize this ancient exercise to reap as many benefits as you can from it. And then you can move on to some of the more interesting stuff when it comes to spinal mobility and strength. Believe it or not, what I'm doing here is probably one of the exercises that most people struggle with the older they become, which is just balance. Being able to stand on a single foot and holding your balance for longer periods of time is almost impossible for most people in their old age. And that is because they never really work on it. Their foot musculature is super weak, their ankles are super weak, they have zero balance when it comes to their core and when it comes to stabilizer activation. And over time, this will become really detrimental to your health and to your quality of life. And it is so easy to work on it. Just step onto one foot and start holding this position wherever you are. Maybe you're waiting to cross the street. Maybe you are at home cooking. Maybe you're just watching TV or reading. Whatever you're doing, it is not too much to ask to simply raise one foot and stand like so. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Increase your time, even if it's just by 1 second every single week. Over time, this will have such a great impact on your life, and knowing how much a lack of balance contributes to injuries and falls, especially the older we become. And the older we become, those falls having even more detrimental effects on our health. There is almost there is absolutely no reason not to start working on this as early as possible. Now, I will leave you with one more foundational human movement pattern that you should definitely start working on. And this one is probably as old as humanity itself, which is a resting squat position. Not doing squats, no, resting in a squatting position, which should take absolutely zero effort, which means that if you are using any sort of true engagement of your musculature and you're really feeling it, and you cannot hold this position in a relaxed fashion where you could sit here all day long, then you need to start working on this right now. Maybe you are lacking the mobility to sit deeply in a relaxed position, and all you need to do to find this out is actually just sit down like so and see if at any point it becomes exhausting, because it shouldn't. This should be your main, your natural, your true resting position that requires the minimum amount of effort, far less than standing. Because this is how we actually used to sit for pretty much our entire human history. And it is called the resting squat because it is a resting position and not an exercise. So the fact that you as an adult human being cannot get into a resting position should make you start questioning your own capabilities. And that's basically it. Some of the oldest movement patterns and the oldest exercises we have been doing as humans that will help you. I don't even want to say re-wild because there is nothing wild about it. Re-human yourself and get back some of the abilities that we used to have for pretty much all of history until we became complacent. So start working on those, because I do want to see your quality of life increase. I do want to see you healthier and happier and stronger and faster, because this means we can continue on this channel together for much, much longer. With that said, if you like the video and come on, subscribe. We do stuff like that almost every single day, which means I'll probably see you very, very soon. So until then, have a good one. Captain Cairo. Peace out.